Hello and welcome to NDTV. I'm Aditya Raj Kaul. Israel and India have just signed a landmark investment bilateral agreement. What does this entail and what does this say about the bilateral relations in the sphere of business and trade between these two countries? Joining us right now is Israel's chief economist, Shmuel Abramzon. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to begin by asking you, you're just coming here after signing that landmark agreement at the North Block with the Finance Minister of India. What does this agreement really say? What is this part of, and what is the main objective behind this?
So thank you very much, Aditya. It's a very exciting milestone. As you said, I just came back from a meeting at the Ministry of Finance here in Delhi. Really very, very exciting milestone. We've signed the Bilateral Investment Treaty. Israel is actually the first OECD country to sign the new set of agreements that India is doing. This is an opportunity of both governments to say to investors from each side that we welcome you, that we want to provide you stability, that we will keep your rights, and you're very welcome into investing. This means it opens up huge opportunities for both investors from India into Israel and from Israel to India. And we expect it indeed to grow in the near future.
You know, Israel and India have had bilateral cooperation in different areas, especially defense, especially security, but also water, agriculture have been significant components as well. So when you have now signed the investment, what are the major sectors that you're really looking at?
So there's major opportunities from both sides. On the Israeli side, we have a lot of investment and potential investment in infrastructure. We want to see Indian companies, those that build your metros or your airports, come and build also in Israel, because we have a huge investment gap in infrastructure and we're looking for new investment. This is the main, perhaps, area for Israel. We also want to see Indian fintech companies and financial companies come into the Israeli market and really create a lot of competition and good activity in the Israeli market. For Israel to work in India, so there's a lot of technological areas, of course, as you mentioned yourself, from agriculture, from financial innovation, from other high-tech areas, AI, and so forth. We want to combine our abilities and invest in India in order to create high benefit for both economies and both people.
Well, there has been already also investment. For instance, the Adani port in Haifa, which has been doing very well, robust. Taking that forward, are you also looking forward to the Europe-India, the IMEC corridor? Because when it was announced in 23, unfortunately, the terror attack happened and there's been a war that's been raging. But are you looking forward to more connectivity, more such projects, bringing Europe, India, America, Israel, the Middle East forward?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Adani, the port you mentioned, the Haifa port, is exactly going to be one of the cornerstones of this connection between Europe and India, both ways. And we need to expand that and really build it better. As you said, there were some delays, but it's very clear that the future is there. And we're looking forward to increase these connections. We need to build for that more railways. We need to build more ways. We need to have the governments work together, and that's indeed going to happen.
Apart from that, we've also seen over the last 2 to 3 years a lot of workforce from India that's been continuously going to the United States. We've seen immediately, unfortunately, after the 7th October terror attacks, there's some kind of a trust that the Israelis really have with Indians, and a lot of workforce from engineers to caregivers that are going there. In fact, I remember when I met Prime Minister Netanyahu last month in Jerusalem, he told me that the caregivers of India are part of the families of the Jewish communities all across. Is that also going to be taken forward? A lot of bureaucratic delays that have been there, more workforce, more skilled force from India going to Israel?
Absolutely, and we already have seen it in the last 2 years. Actually, the number of foreign workers, the Indian workers in Israel, has doubled in the last year. We're now talking about 40,000 Indian workers, especially the growth was in the construction sector. But as you said, in the caregiving, there's also a lot of opportunities. We already, as you said, have very, very good ties with Indian caregivers. But the construction sector, and I mentioned before, the infrastructure sector in general has a lot of demand, and we look forward for Indian workers to come in. Both the labor workers and also the higher end workers with your expertise in terms of civil engineering and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunities, and we need to work together as governments to open this up.
Well, one of the disruptors in the last few months has been, unfortunately for New Delhi, the tariff issue that has been going around. Now, Tel Aviv Jerusalem and New Delhi have been really friends with each other. So do you think Israel can play some kind of a role of building these bridges between India and the United States? There's already India and US has a global strategic partnership. In the economic sphere, there is 2+2 dialogue as well. But could there be a potential three-way, economics underway between Israel, US, and India?
First of all, everywhere we can help with our two great friends, of course, we're happy to help. I think in this situation, India doesn't necessarily need so much of our help. This is an issue between the United States and India. The United States is negotiating with all countries, including with Israel. They're a tough negotiator, but we are very optimistic also for India, and we believe that the friendship between India and the United States will, of course, prevail, and we will get into a good deal for both sides. And same for Israel, by the way, vis-a-vis the United States. We still haven't signed the deal, and we understand that it could take a little bit of time, but we are optimistic.
But wearing the economist's hat, without your government position here, as an economist, how would you advise, India? You're not in that role, but I'm still asking you, how does one, sail through this process of tariffs? Do you think negotiations will be carried out because it could be a win-win situation for both Washington, D.C. and New Delhi? Because tariffs is a reality of the day that people have to face.
Yes. First of all, I want to say also from our experience from the Indian government, you are very good negotiators. We just finished the negotiating of a bilateral trade agreement, so I'm not sure you need so much advice from Israel. I think it's clear that both sides have a lot to win also from a good trade agreement. And also, naturally, there are interests that every country has to keep in mind. We just actually came back from another meeting with the Minister of Trade, Piyush Goyal, and I understand he knows very well how to negotiate and keep Indians' interests. And I think that by the understanding, which I do see also in the Indian government, that trade can also give benefits, and also it's important to keep your interests. So I think this balance will be achieved, and make sure that you really open up where you can open up. So I think it's very important, to take off the unnecessary barriers. It could be some tariffs, but it could be also other things like bureaucracy and other issues. And I think it's a good opportunity also.
Well, one of the major areas for Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been the Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is Make in India, plan that India should be self-reliant and there should be products manufacturing that should happen here. So as part of that, do you also feel that on innovation front, on front of manufacturing, on front of technology sharing, there could be some progress? Because Israel and India have a lot of partnership, but they don't speak much about it, especially when it comes to defense, especially when it comes to security. But on innovation, manufacturing, and on technology sharing, is there a potential?
Absolutely, and as you said, there's already the potential is already fulfilling. Israel is actually a big partner in the Make in India view, and in many ways it's very natural for us because Israel is not a large manufacturing site. We're a small country. We do have the mines, we do have the know-how, we do have the technology, but we need a partner to manufacture these innovation goods. So in that sense, this is really a good match, a great match between both sides, and we look forward to working on this framework of Make in India, and we're already doing it, and we just want to expand that, and perhaps the investment agreement that we just signed is actually going to support this. Very important.
Well, Chief Economist Abramzon, I also want to understand from you, as an economist, as a well-known economist, how do you see the potential in India when it comes to the economy really growing? India is the fourth largest economy in the few years, inching forward to become the third largest economy. How's the growth potential in India? And secondly, what are the sectors where you feel that any country, we've had good ties with UAE, we have ties with Saudi, across the Middle East, that they see a potential here?
So I think there's a lot of potential across many areas, especially when you have a development gap and you can catch up, even just with adopting new technologies. So we've seen the incredible things that happen in India, for example, in the fintech area, where you've adopted incredibly the financial technologies, and now everyone pays and uses cashless solutions. So these same ideas can also be adapted or copied in other areas. You can improve the way you transfer, the way you work, and so forth. So I think with adapting technologies into the Indian market, we see that, for example, with agriculture. With agricultural technologies, some of them Israeli, really multiplying the yields of Indian farmers. So we need to make sure that technology is really brought into India and really bringing more productivity. So I think that should be one of the main areas of growth. I think by improving the infrastructure, they see that's happening in India. We see tremendous growth in transportation, in metro systems, in airports. So that could also create a lot of activity and open up a lot of opportunities also for travel and for really creating businesses. So I think these will be the new ones. And I think exactly the partnership between countries like Israel and India together, creating these bonds where, for example, in our case, our country can give technology and your country can give the manufacturing and the upscaling, and making these international connections could be really a great strategy for India.
Well, you spoke about the collaboration, the manufacturing and innovation really coming together, but do you also feel that this the bilateral investment treaty is a foundation for a free trade agreement perhaps in some time from now?
I believe so. I'm very optimistic. I think we all, from what I understand, we all are kind of busy with the situation with the United States, as you mentioned. So the focus is now on that kind of trade agreement, and we know that India is also negotiating with the EU. But I believe that along the road, and sooner than later, we'll see also talks about trade agreements.
Okay, my last question to you is about the defense partnership, between both these countries. Both Israel and India have been victims of terrorism, and a robust defense, technology, equipment, etc., has to play a pivotal role in safeguarding our interests, economic interests, or for the benefit of our people. Do you think that the India-Israel Defense Cooperation will go to another level from now onwards? This bilateral investment is one part of it, but defense will also play a critical role.
So I think we already have a very, very exceptional partnership in that end for many years. Regardless of the agreement or not, our defense establishments know how to speak to each other and have been supporting each other. So I'm sure, and I believe the way is just positive and forward to increase these cooperations.